Hi, it's Ian from the Fab Lab at Plymouth College of Art. In this video, I'd like to introduce Fusion 360, which is our chosen software. You can download it easily if you go online. You can download an educational license free. And as you can see, it's CAD, CAM, and CAE. That's computer-aided design, computer-aided manufacturing, and computer-aided engineering. So on the screen here, we can see a two-dimensional drawing, which can be sent to a laser cutter, to a water jet cutter, a vinyl cutter, or to a CNC router. We can also design, of course, in 3 dimensions. This is a 3-dimensional drawing, and this object could be 3D printed, and 3D objects could be sent to milling machines as well. So how does Fusion 360 work? Well, as we can see here, we have a 2-dimensional drawing, and at the top here we have a view cube, which we can left click and move around. So what I can do is I can make this 2-dimensional design. I can right click on it. If we open up on the left hand side here, we can see these are almost like folders, and in all my sketches, this is sketch 1. I can right click on that and I can save as a DXF, and that can then go to our laser cutter or whatever machine we're sending it to. If we want to make a 3-dimensional object, well, there are 2 ways we can do that, 2 simple ways we can do it. One is to go to the top left here, and after create sketch, the next one over here, the next icon is extrude. So I can left click on that, and if I choose my profiles, what we get a box here, we just work our way down. So it says profile, so I can click on the profile there, left click, and I can also click on the bottom one there, and I can just pull out either way. I can also, I think in direction here, instead of one side there, we can click on that and drop down to symmetric, and then anything I do on one side will go out the opposite side as well. So when you're happy you've got your object, you can just click OK and go to the little home button there, and there's our object which you can move around as well. So that's a solid we can produce. And what we'll find is in the left hand side here with these folders I was talking about, in the bodies here, we can turn that body on, off and on like so. So what we can also do, if we hide that now, is go back to our sketch. Okay, and I'll show you a different way of making a solid. You can just move around there. And instead of extrude, the next one along is revolve. So if I left click on this, we get a box in the same way, and it's asking which profile we want to revolve. So let's left click on the top part and the bottom part. And we can now, it's asking us, if we click on the next one down, which axis we're going to revolve around. Now we can see this red axis here, there's the green, and there's also a blue axis just here, and that's the one I'd like to revolve around. So if I left click on that and then click OK, we have a new object here. We can hide our sketch again, and we can scroll out and we can have a look at that object. So we've made 2 objects, and we can turn these objects on and off as we wish. So now that I've made an object, as we can see, create, it works like reading a book really. It starts from the left and you make your drawing, you create your drawing, and then you start to create your objects. If we go further over, we can see modify. So I'm just going to left click on modify. I'd like to do 2 things. I'd like to put a slight curve on the bottom there, and I'd like to open this up and make it into a vessel. So first thing to do is to go down to fillet, which is our curvature. Click on the one you want to fillet, and what we can do now is just type in, let's say 5, and as you can see, we now have a 5mm radius on there. Just click OK to say that's done. The next thing I want to hollow this out is called shell, the command. So I'm going to go to modify again and go to shell. The face that I'm going to shell is this one, and I'm just going to key in 1. That's 1mm, and OK, and now we see we've got our object. Okay, that's great. So just to recap, it's quite simple. We create, just turn this off, we create a sketch. okay, from the left hand side, and we can extrude that into a object, or we can revolve it as so. So now we've created our object there. I'd like to show you another way, another method of making an object. This is quite geometric so far. So if we go up to this create form and left click on here, we can now create a box. And I can choose a plane, and I'm going to put my box over here. And there's my box, and I can have as many faces in there as possible. I'll show you the faces once we click OK. I've got 3 faces, and I can actually manipulate this now in a much more fluid way. I can manipulate using a line, using a point, or a plane. I'm going to choose a series of planes. I'm going to click Shift and just click these 3 planes. If I just right click now, I'm going to edit my form, and now I can lift up, and I can also start to manipulate. You can see there's different tools here. One of those tools is this one, and you can see what happens as I move around. So I'm actually working, it's almost like playing with clay rather than kind of having defined geometric pattern and so on. I'm going to click here as well just to twist, and you can see how easy it is to manipulate these forms. Okay, once you're happy with it, just click OK and finish the form. And now we have a completely different method of making, all within Fusion 360. Fusion 360 is a very powerful piece of software because it's cloud-based, which means we're not actually limited by the processing power of our machine. If I just show you another object here, this object has been rendered. I'll show you rendering in just a second. I just want to show you how powerful this is. What I can do is go to our sketch, our original sketch, and edit that sketch. And I'm just going to take this and move it out just a little bit more, like so, and finish our sketch. It's going to take a bit of time to sort itself out. But what it's done is that's actually affected everything. And you can see at the bottom here a timeline. And this is the wonderful thing about Fusion 360. You can make changes very, very quickly to your design and save each one and have lots and lots of different possibilities from the same model. So I'm just going to finish that sketch there. And as you can see, there's our slightly changed model. I think I prefer a little bit wider. Still, I'm not going to go into that at the moment. Let's go back to our objects. I just want to show you very quickly some of the workspaces within Fusion. We've been in design so far. If I left click on that, we can see we have different spaces to work. At the bottom here, drawing, we can produce engineering drawings. Manufacturer means we can actually go straight out to an export to 3D printers or milling machines and so on. Simulation, we can actually look at stress and do stress tests and so on. Animation, I'll go into in a second. We can make animations very, very quickly. And then, of course, we have rendering. I'm just going to go into render. Very, very simple thing to do. We just go up to appearance here, and I can just add an appearance to our object. There's our first one. And I've also got some granite here on the second one, as it's a slightly more irregular form, let's say. I can also pop over to glass there, and we have the ability to edit. So if I just edit that, and we'll go to maybe a kind of a purple color there and click OK. So there you have lots and lots of ability to put materials onto our objects. I'm just going to leave it there as metal. The next one along is lighting. So our brightness can be affected. We can actually turn that up and down as we wish to get what we want there. I think that's about right there. And of course, then we can render. And I'll go back into render in a second. In fact, what we could do is close that, and I'll show you animation very, very quickly. So I can go down now to animation. Okay. And I've already got something in here which I can just click on to play, and you can see we can animate very quickly. Now what I'll do, I'll just add, just to show you how easy it is to do, I'm just going to add a few seconds of my animation and just move out like so. And now when I play back, you can see the same film with my added extra. And up here is publish. I can just left click on here and that will publish as an MP4, which can be played by anybody. So if you have a tutorial you'd like to show your tutors, or if you have a client you'd like to show a design to, that's the way forward there. One last thing, I mentioned about rendering. We can go back to our image here, and there is our finished rendered view. Obviously I put a background in, and we can import backgrounds of course, and it's about lighting and so on. It's just a bit like a photography studio really. So that's pretty much what I wanted to show you as an introduction to Fusion 360. We are accredited trainers, so look out for courses in the Fab Lab. Thank you very much for watching.